The Shining, Manifest Destiny, and The White Man's Burden. Why Jack Torrance raises a glass to imperial guilt. Stanley Kubrick's The Shining is a psychological horror film about isolation, madness, and axe-related property damage. But lurking beneath its haunted hallways and rivers of blood is a sly commentary on the imperial ambitions of both America and the British Empire. Nowhere is this more evident than in Jack Torrance's casual quip to ghost bartender Lloyd, "White Man's Burden." This throwaway line, delivered before Jack takes his first sip of ghost whiskey in the Gold Room, opens the door to a deeper exploration of manifest destiny, imperial guilt, and Jack's own descent into madness. Let's unpack how Rudyard Kipling's poem, The White Man's Burden, and the ideological baggage of manifest destiny provide a hilariously bleak backdrop for Jack's unravelling, turning the Overlook Hotel into a gilded graveyard for imperial ambitions. Jack Torrance, the Overlook's imperial pawn. When Jack saunters up to Lloyd, he's not just ordering a drink, he's cementing his role as the Overlook Hotel's latest tool of domination. The phrase "white man's burden" connects Jack's personal struggles to the broader historical themes of imperial conquest and cultural destruction. Jack, as a failed colonial administrator, much like the British Empire's overworked bureaucrats, Jack believes he's shouldering the burden of maintaining order, except his empire consists of an empty hotel, a snowbound family, and a typewriter with an alarming lack of output. A self-deluded martyr, by invoking white man's burden, Jack frames his frustrations as noble sacrifices, conveniently ignoring that his burdens are self-inflicted. It's as if Kipling's imperial sloganeering has been distilled into Jack's bitter resentment over Wendy's nagging and Danny's creepy finger puppet. The Gold Room, a colonial playground. The Gold Room, with its opulent decor and endless ghostly soirée, represents the grandeur and decay of empire. It's a place where Jack, much like the colonizers of old, can pretend to be in control while being thoroughly manipulated. The Gold Room as the British Empire, the room's name and lavish aesthetic evoke the imperial obsession with wealth and luxury gained at the expense of others. The ghosts in the Gold Room are like colonial administrators, toasting their success while ignoring the devastation they've wrought. Lloyd as the imperial enabler, Lloyd, the smooth-talking ghost bartender, plays the role of imperial propagandist, feeding Jack's delusions of grandeur while plying him with liquid courage. He's not just serving drinks, he's serving ideology, one glass of whiskey at a time. Manifest destiny, the Overlook as America's haunted frontier. Just as the British Empire sought to civilize the world under the banner of the white man's burden, manifest destiny justified the United States' westward expansion, often at the expense of Native American lives and land. The Overlook Hotel, built on a Native American burial ground, becomes a literal embodiment of this legacy. The Overlook's foundations, the hotel's origins, are steeped in violence, much like America's westward expansion. By appropriating native land and culture, see the decorative indigenous motifs, the Overlook mirrors the extractive logic of empire. Jack's role in the cycle, Jack's descent into madness, mirrors the destructive logic of manifest destiny. Just as settlers justified their actions with lofty ideals, Jack justifies his violent impulses as part of his duty to the Overlook, a twisted echo of colonial ambition. Kipling's The White Man's Burden, Jack's imperial delusion. Rudyard Kipling's poem The White Man's Burden was written as a justification for imperial domination, urging Western powers to take up the burden of civilizing the world. When Jack invokes the phrase, he transforms Kipling's colonial narrative into a domestic tragedy. The Torrance family as the colonized, Jack casts himself as the weary colonizer, burdened with the thankless task of managing the Overlook and his family. Wendy and Danny, meanwhile, are his subjects, resisting his authority as he spirals into violent tyranny. Kipling meets Kubrick. Kubrick turns Kipling's imperial idealism into dark comedy. Jack, a man who can't even manage a snowstorm without losing his mind, positions himself as the hero of a grand imaginary struggle. It's the British Empire, but with more axes and fewer tea breaks. The Overlook's ghosts, imperial guilt on parade. The Overlook's ghosts, from Lloyd to Delbert Grady, embody the lingering spectre of imperial guilt. They're not just haunting Jack, they're recruiting him, inviting him to join their eternal party of denial and decadence. Delbert Grady, as Kipling's avatar, Grady's insistence that Jack correct his family mirrors the paternalistic ethos of the white man's burden. His polished demeanour and clipped accent make him the perfect stand-in for a colonial overseer, urging Jack to impose order through violence. The eternal party, the never-ending gold room soiree, symbolises the imperial dream of endless opulence, sustained by invisible suffering. Jack's embrace of this vision cements his role as both victim and perpetrator of the Overlook's cycle of conquest. Kubrick's dark humour, the burden of being Jack. Kubrick's inclusion of white man's burden isn't just a nod to Kipling, it's a biting critique of the absurdity of imperial logic. By placing Jack Torrance, a man who can't even finish a novel, at the centre of this narrative, Kubrick turns the grandiosity of empire into a tragic farce. Jack's tragic hubris, Jack's invocation of Kipling's phrase, is hilariously misplaced. He's not a colonial hero. He's a man babysitting a haunted hotel and failing spectacularly. His self-aggrandizement makes his downfall all the more ridiculous. The Overlook as imperial satire, the hotel's grandeur, built on stolen land and steeped in blood, becomes a parody of empire itself. Jack's embrace of this legacy, complete with whiskey-fueled rants, makes him the ultimate anti-hero of imperial guilt. Conclusion: a toast to madness and manifest destiny. In The Shining, Stanley Kubrick transforms a haunted hotel story into a darkly comedic meditation on imperial ambition and its discontents. Jack Torrance's quip, "White Man's Burden," serves as a chillingly funny reminder of the delusions of grandeur that fuel both empires and axe-wielding writers. The Overlook Hotel, with its stolen land, ghostly inhabitants, and eternal gold room party, becomes a microcosm of the violent, hypocritical logic of manifest destiny and colonial expansion. So, the next time you watch The Shining, raise a glass to Lloyd, Delbert Grady, and all the other spectral enablers of Jack's imperial fantasies. And remember, if you ever feel the weight of the white man's burden, maybe it's time to put down the whiskey and pick up a history book. Or better yet, don't check into the Overlook Hotel at all.